Hello and welcome to PropTech Buzz. I am Olivia Rizvi and we are going to discuss how to navigate real estate licensing and build seamless home search experiences for your clients. Today we are talking to Grant Moon. He is a seasoned entrepreneur and real estate tech visionary currently leading HomeData Solutions, a company revolutionizing how property technology platforms access and utilize MLS data across United States. Before founding HomeData, Grant scaled and sold HomeCaptain, a venture-backed startup that faced massive hurdles navigating brokerage licensing and MLS integration in all 50 states. At HomeData, Grant's team lays down the full highway, setting up brokerage licensing across states, managing MLS memberships, and enabling custom home search experiences without the usual legal gymnastics. His work empowers proptechs, fintechs, and banks to go to market faster, smarter, and without the drama. So, hi, Grant. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Olivia. How are you?
I'm doing really well. And 50 states, I can't even name the 50 states of the United States. So
I don't know if I
that's
can either, even though I'm American, but yeah.
all right. So let's get into it. Grant, for people who may not know the backstory, how did your personal experience with HomeCaptain show you there was a much bigger licensing problem to solve?
Yeah, so my last company was called HomeCaptain. Now it's called HomeStory, but we were one of the first financial technology companies out there that took on the infrastructure required to create a national portal. So like what we wanted to do was create a portal like a Zillow or Trulia or realtor.com. And being a technologist, I was, pretty naive into the overall process, the regulatory requirements, the legal requirements. And so that was something that was a pretty big undertaking for us. And, really what we had to do in order to become a national portal and have integrations with all MLSs started at licensing. So in the United States, and I'll say in the United States, just because I know PropTech Buzz is global. Congratulations, by the way. You have to have a licensed real estate brokerage. So a licensed real estate brokerage is different than, maybe you might have known a real estate agent in the past and they have what's called a real estate license. A real estate brokerage is different insofar as every single real estate agent works for a real estate brokerage. And the broker has requirements from a legal and a supervisory capacity to have agents underneath them. And that's how real estate is conducted in the United States. Now, separately from that legal requirement, you also have multiple listing services, and also known as MLSs. And there are over 700 MLSs across the United States. So it's not like there's one per state. Some states there's 5, 6, 7. And each one of these MLSs is where real estate agents go into to input properties that are being listed for sale. And so to take all these 700 and be able to aggregate them together to be a Zillow, to be a Trulia, to be a realtor.com, or to be your own portal has a number of different requirements.
Okay, wow, I actually didn't know that. So, was there a specific point where you realized, hold on, it's not just about access to MLS data, and it's about helping companies actually create how search experiences without getting wrecked by compliance?
Yeah, well, you're not going to actually get the ability to give search data or aggregate MLS data unless you start first with being a licensed real estate brokerage. And the way that we do that for our clients today is that we look at the use cases on what they want to do. So some companies want to build a search experience for their customers, like very much like a lot of PropTech companies. But there's other use cases as well. Like for instance, we serve property management companies that operate across the United States, and they need real estate brokerage license as well. And so what we do is we, in essence, stand up a entity within the name of the business that we're serving, so our clients. We instill a managing broker, and then we submit this entity to the respective state's licensing board to become a real estate brokerage. Then the state entity, so the Department of Real Estate for every single state, so there's a different one in every single state, will give us back a brokerage number. Once they give us back the brokerage number, it's in our client's name, so they have a legal brokerage. And once that happens, if it's a company that we're serving that needs MLS data, we'll then take that brokerage in the respective state, and then we'll apply to be a member of the MLSs, the multiple listing services. Once we become a member, then at that point you have right to access the data. And that's then where the technical component comes in, where you have to look at your tech stack, being able to normalize that data, put it into a front end user experience. And really then that's where the heavier technical aspects come into play.
So if you had to explain it to a startup founder today, what types of companies really need to think about brokerage licensing early?
Well, there's tech companies that serve property management. So like that's a component, that's a licensed activity here in the United States. Any company that seeks to engage with customers, especially as it relates to United States real estate, anything related to real estate. There's also companies like hedge funds and private equity that look to buy single-family homes, as an example. They'll likely want to be licensed as a real estate brokerage entity for compliance purposes. So those are kind of the big ones, right? It's tech companies looking to engage with customers in the United States for purposes of buying, selling, or renting homes. It's property management companies, and then hedge funds that seek to buy, like, for example, buy portfolios of single family rentals would be another example. Those are the big.
Okay, so then let's get right into it. What segments of market absolutely need real estate brokerage licensing?
Any company that's going to give a home search experience, you'll need real estate brokerage licenses. So that's a lot of prop tech companies out there, and we can name like anyone that has an experience that's similar to a Zillow, similar to a Realtor.com, similar to an auction.com. Anything whereby you are engaging with customers for purposes of buying and selling real estate will need a license. Even if you're just a tech company, even if you're just giving those customers a experience for them to be able to search, and it goes to a different real estate agent. Mortgage companies that look to engage with people in the United States that give them an experience whereby you're searching for home, you're looking to buy a home and then eventually give finance. And I'll bring one company as an example that I know is on PropTech Buzz. If RE Alpha. RE Alpha is a big sponsor of yours, and so they have to have brokerage license, and they do in a good portion of the United States. So those types of companies absolutely need it. Property management companies and property management company tech platforms. That'll be another one too. So there's a number of different legal and regulatory requirements to be able to engage with renters, as an example. And so that would be another example in the United States. And the fines are heavy to not be licensed, and there is a ton of regulation around real estate in the United States. And so that is something that we solve those needs for our clients today.
So companies like the ones that you just named, Zillow, RE Alpha, to just name a few, what are these companies using their licensing and MLS access for? Is it just for compliance, or is it also for customer experience?
It's for both. So they cannot coexist independently. But the companies like a Real Alpha or Zillow, they're using it because it's core to their business model. Like a Zillow, for example, to give customers the ability to search for homes, right? And then they have an advertising model whereby they make ad revenue and other types of revenue by having an aggregated MLS search experience on their site. It's this Real Alpha, for example, it's core to their strategy to give customers a search experience that ultimately reduces friction and costs, and they make money on the mortgage side, but they're giving away the components of a customer experience by being able to search for homes. You're not going to be able to give a customer the experience to search for homes without real estate licenses. Or if you do, it's illegal and you found a workaround, but you'll probably get fined pretty heavily.
Okay, that's actually good to know. So you've built an entire business around setting up home search infrastructure. Can you walk us through what it takes from brokerage setup to pulling in nationwide listings?
Yeah. So, this is something that was core to, what we did at my last company in giving an aggregated search experience to be able to search across the entire United States and put offers on homes and sell your home seamlessly. But after you set up the brokerages, and it depends on the states that you want to operate in, because you have to set one up in every single state. Then, like I mentioned, you apply for membership to the respective MLSs, so multiple listing services that you want to serve customers in. So that would be step 2. Now, step 3 becomes a little bit more complex. And the reason being is because if you're a national platform, and if you remember, I mentioned that there's 700 MLSs across the United States.
Yes, I do, yeah.
Each one of these MLSs are independent of each other. They're owned and operated separately. And so that is complexity from a data formatting perspective. So if you think about it, if you have 700 different data sources, as an example, every single one of those data sources have different formats in terms of the way that you're able to get the data. So then what you have to do is you have to normalize the data, which we do at HomeData Solutions. We help our clients be able to set up the appropriate tech stack for their use case. And so you have to normalize that data into a single user interface. And so that requires a bit of middleware that we are able to instill within our customers or our clients rather. And at which point we'll normalize the data into a single format and put that into a user interface for our clients. And so that's really the last step in being able to take the data and use it. Now that's just for front end display and user experience, but there's a number of use cases that you could also use that data for. Some companies will also use the data to create and sell what's called MLS triggers, multiple listing service triggers. So that's more of a data play where, if you wanted to start understanding everyone that is listing their home in the United States, the minute that they list it and create then a lead opportunity, you could do that, right? So that's more on the data side. You could use the MLS data and property record data to do a myriad of things like determine determine what value various different homes are.
Sure.
So you could start creating valuation models for the various different properties as well.
Okay, that's pretty comprehensive. Let's paint a realistic picture. If a founder didn't work with HomeData Solutions, what would the typical US go-to market process look like for building a licensed nationwide home search from scratch?
If they didn't go through HomeData Solutions, they would probably need to hire 50 brokers in all 50 states. And that would be incredibly expensive. And then what they would have to do is they would have to go through the process of applying for the MLSs on their own, setting up the entities on their own. Then they would figure out how to normalize the data. And it would probably be a multi-year process. It would take a long time to figure it out if they weren't experienced in doing it. There's a number of different hurdles, a number of different roadblocks that they would encounter along the process, and they would probably spend a lot of money in figuring it out.
So, how exactly does HomeData Solutions simplify the licensing and MLS access nightmare for startups?
Yeah. So we have 50 state brokerage to include DC. So we have 51 licenses. We have licensed brokerage as employees. So we have licensed brokers as employees as well. That's our entire team. We cover all 50 states to include DC. So what we do is we set up an entity in the actual company's name, because that's what's required for permissible use for data access within the MLSs. We instill a managing broker on that entity that ultimately is owned by the companies that we serve. And we then do all the compliance work, all of the filings within the regulatory bodies within the state. And then we do all the MLS applications. All of the MLSs know us very well too. And we are able to do this in the course. We're able to stand up nationwide real estate brokerage to include MLS membership and data from a customer user experience perspective in all 50 states in 4 months. So that's typically pretty fast. So companies that want to operate pretty quickly, we are able to do it and do it in a very fast manner that allows for them to go to market, speed to market, have a trusted partner that is able to guide them and avoid pitfalls, because, I've been spending most of my professional career in this, and I can tell you that I've made a ton of mistakes. And so by being able to learn from those mistakes and know exactly what's needed gives us the expertise to best serve the companies that are looking to do this.
Well, uh, so that's pretty incredible, because you made the mistakes, but people just remember you for your successes, and that's pretty cool. So I have a question though. So a lot of early stage startups underestimate how heavy compliance can be. So what's the biggest mistakes you see companies make when they try to hack the process themselves?
Yeah, so biggest mistakes I see is that companies believe that they don't need to be licensed, and it's pretty simple. They get fined and shut down. And it happens all the time. So that's a pretty big mistake that companies make. And so that's probably the biggest one that I see today, is that companies try to hack their way through, find themselves into trouble, and a state regulatory body will come after them, and then they're in trouble. And if they're in trouble, the best case scenario at that case is that they pay a fine and they promise to never do it again. The worst case is they pay a fine and they get shut down. And now, if they raised venture money or anything else, they have to go back to their venture investors and say, hey, sorry, we have to throw in the towel because we made a mistake and we tried to cut corners.
This happens often?
Yeah.
Okay, then thank God you're there. So, you've worked with a lot of fast-growing fintechs and banks. So, what's been the biggest surprise about how different industries approach licensing and and search developments?
Yeah. Well, I would say on the banking side, what's unique about it is that, especially since the DOJ lawsuit last year for the National Association of Realtors that removed the requirement for the seller to pay the buy-side commission, you're seeing a lot of banks, so mortgage banks, enter into the real estate sector. And them entering into the real estate sector is really giving the customers the infrastructure to be able to search for homes. Now, they're not necessarily making money on the real estate transaction, but their business model is to lend mortgage, right, for mortgage. And so you're seeing a lot, and Real Alpha is one of them, that are taking that type of approach. So they're in real estate, they're getting the licenses, they have the data, they have the MLS membership, they have the search interface, but they're not making money on real estate transactions. Their model is to make money on mortgage, but they're engaging with customers and using that as lead gen for the mortgage side. So that's where I'm seeing a lot of mortgage. And like a perfect example of this would be Rocket Homes. Rocket Homes is in the real estate business. They have real estate licenses in all 50 states. They have MLS search capabilities, and they create engagement with their customers, which then turns into leads for their mortgage side, which then turns into mortgage, right? For Rocket Mortgage. That's the largest mortgage bank in the United States. So that's how mortgage that's how I see largely mortgage doing it, or mortgage banks rather. For proptechs are, there's a number of proptech models that are coming out especially in the United States, and especially because of this major ruling here in the United States that consumers no longer have to pay, per se, a buy-side agency agreement, and or it's negotiable, and it's a lot more customizable. And so a lot of PropTechs are creating opportunities for consumers to engage in buying a home in new and different ways by, having models that say, for instance, instead of paying, what you would have paid on average to buy a home of $9,000 on a buy-side commission, we'll do it for a flat fee or something like that. So PropTechs are going about it a different way. In terms of single family rentals and or hedge funds rather, that buy and sell real estate as part of their business model, or private equity, I think that they're probably not doing it in different ways, other than the fact that, say they were just operating in Texas or Colorado or Florida and they want to expand, then it's just a normal use case. If they're looking, say, for instance, to expand in California, they know that they have to get a license. One more use case that I've been seeing lately too is that, a big component of this newer wave of mortgage banking is what's called DSCR loans. So DSCR loans are essentially, it's using the merits of the property's cash flow in order to qualify for a mortgage. So that's a lot for like fix and flip type companies, and or short anyone that buys a property to have it short term, and or long term from an investment perspective. But one of the largest economic state in the United States being California, you don't need a mortgage broker license and you don't need to be a mortgage bank to do DSCR loans, but you do have to have a real estate brokerage license. And California is a huge market. I think California is like the fourth largest economy in the world. So, that's a big component too of where we're starting to see on the mortgage banking side too.
So my penultimate question for you for the night would be, if someone listening today is ready to create a home search experience or unlock MLS access for their platform, what's the best way to start working with you and your team?
You can reach out to us at HomeData Solutions. So I'm Grant at HomeDataSolutions.com. You can visit our website at HomeDataSolutions.com. You could find me on PropTech Buzz, and we'd be happy to have a conversation and just do a consultation in terms of, what you or your business is looking to do, what your thesis in the market is, and we could give you some free advice. And if we can't be helpful, we'd be happy to recommend some other avenues and approaches. But we'd love to serve you if we could, and it's in our wheelhouse.
Okay, so then that brings me to my ultimate question. For founders tackling regulated industries like real estate, what's the number one hard-earned lesson you wish someone had told you earlier?
I think for me, having done this and having built companies around this, there's no easy button. I've tried to hack my way through a number of these types of scenarios. And the sooner that I started with setting up the building blocks in a right way, I probably would have saved myself a lot of time and money and just did the blocking and tackling that was necessary to build my business instead of looking for shortcuts. I would say that would probably be my thing. And that's what I would recommend. Now more than ever, real estate in the United States has become highly litigious. You can just type in real estate lawsuits in the United States, and you're going to see a slew. And that's all just happened over the past year and a half, based off of a highly contested Department of Justice, United States Department of Justice lawsuit and ruling against the National Association of Realtors and a number of different real estate companies. And there just seems to be more and more of this that continues to happen. And so setting yourself up right, and having the right compliance, having the right entity, having the right structure, and having everything be above board is of critical importance, for your ability to survive as a business, but also gives good and strong barriers to entry against new entrants that might come into your market that does not have the infrastructure that you set up.
Well, thank you so much for your insights today. It was lovely discussing HomeData Solutions with you, and thank you for granting us the audience to have this discussion today. So thank you so much. And for our audiences as well, have a lovely day. Until next time, thank you.